Great. So, welcome today. I'm really happy that we managed to schedule that meeting. I'm Veronica, head of local chapters at Omdena, and today we are talking to Rebecca, who led a lot of projects in Omdena already, and she's a great lead of Omdena French Chapter. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure being part of this Omdena community.
Thanks. So actually, that's where I want to start. Um, what is your background? What's your kind of journey in short?
My background, so I first came to France because I wanted to pursue my career in physics. I was very much into physics research. So I did my PhD in physics. And then I worked as a postdoctoral researcher, all this time focusing on how radiation affects materials and using mathematical modeling to make sure we understand physics behind radiation induced damage in different kinds of metals. So that's the background that I'm coming from.
And the physics interest was like from childhood or where it started?
Yes, I've always been very curious about everything around how does the fan work, how does anything work, like what is it composed of. So I'm very curious as a person. So I thought what best to understand nature and everything around us than studying physics. So that's how I started physics. And actually, when I was doing my research and working on physics, that's when I realized that I enjoy working with large amounts of data a lot. And that's when I also decided that I want to also pursue data science in greater detail.
Yeah. And how it physics and first interest in data science transformed into participating in Omdena, like how it all started with Omdena.
Yeah. Yes, so from there, what happened is I had a friend who was also doing her postdoc in maths, and we were talking about our mutual interest for data science, and she introduced me to Omdena because she had taken part in, I think, one of the first Omdena projects, and it was very interesting to me because I had never come across a platform where I could use um, data science skills on a real life problem and in an environment where there is so much of support. So there are places like Kaggle or other platforms where you find large amounts of data set. Those are real world problems as well, but there's not as much community support. So at Omdena, I took part. My first core challenge was the student debt crisis, and that's when I realized that the community around the environment in which you contribute to a challenge is so great, because even if you don't know everything, there are people who know something you don't know, and in collaboration you can build on something which is great together. And uh, besides the technical aspects, there is always the satisfaction of working on a cause or a problem of societal interest that is very relevant in today's times. So there is that satisfaction as well. So like right from my first day in my first core challenge, I knew that I am going to stick around with Omdena for a long time because it is a great place to be, basically.
Yeah, and you actually did stick around for some time.
Yeah, it's been
How did you
more
find
than
out?
2 years now. Yeah.
More than 2 years. Wow. Yeah. So it's almost as old as Omdena, that relation. Uh, so how did you find out about local chapters then?
Yeah, so after contributing to two core challenges, I also realized that sometimes with my work, I'm not able to devote 8 hours, 8 hours in a week, or the 8 weeks in at a stretch. So I was looking at different options of challenges projects at Omdena. And then that's how, about 1 year ago, I came across this new initiative of local chapters. And the great thing is, it is shorter projects with very well defined scope. So there is a lot to do as usual, but the commitment is shorter compared to core challenges. So so that time, Julia was already the local chapter lead at France, and I reached out to her and I said I'm interested in collaborating and contributing to the France chapter. So she brought me on board, and we became co-leads that time. And that's how this journey as a chapter lead at the France local chapter started.
Yeah. And this journey was quite successful because you already completed three projects with your chapter, right? How would you compare these three experiences of projects? After all, the first time you didn't know at all how to do it, and then you came up to the moment that you're kind of now teaching new leads in France how to do it. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, sure. So, yeah, as you said, the first time when we had to lead the project, we were clueless, like no idea how to start, what to expect, how experienced would the collaborators be. We had no idea. So that is why we decided to start small, as in start with more analytics based and more of lighter challenges, so that we don't like go in with something that's too advanced and scare of people. So we started with analytics and very relevant topics on related to COVID and flu, which were like the only thing we would hear in the news that time in France. So that's how we started, very slow with less expectations. And then we saw how people were reacting to being in those challenges. We saw that yes, there are a majority of beginners, but we are also starting to attract experienced people who are already based and working in France and want to continue contributing to the France chapter. So that's how, after completing the first two challenges, I had the confidence of saying that, okay, now we can go into something as advanced as computer vision. And our next challenge would be related to NLP. So now I can say with confidence that we can do this, because the first two challenges we did understand that even if the majority are beginners, they are very enthusiastic and open to learning. So we can really make sure they get the right guidance, right from the kickoff meeting. So right after the kickoff meeting, if we have first workshop, and in the first second week we have follow-ups to the workshop, we see that even beginners were able to do the modeling. Like in the computer vision project, we saw that even beginners were able to like contribute and add to the work of experienced people. And they were enthusiastic in making the data set more diverse and had more ideas. So that was like really nice to see. And I'm glad we started with something that was simple, because it helped us adapt according to the community that we were building.
Yeah. And how actually do you approach beginners? Like, if someone is watching it now and they know very little about data science or even Omdena, how do you approach them? How do you make them collaborate and actually be part of the community?
Yeah, so my focus has really been to involve the beginners as much as possible. So sometimes, even when we launch a call for applications, I have people directly messaging me saying that I don't have experience in this model building, this particular way of model building, but I am interested in this topic. Should I join? And I always tell them, like, join. You just need to be enthusiastic. You just need to be open to learning, and set aside a certain amount of time each week, so that you can learn and grow in the community. So that is all we ask for. And as soon as people um, join the project, I always make sure that a preliminary set of workshops is already planned for them, so that they are ready to get that basic training. But other than that, I always ask beginners also to ask for things that they don't know. So they can always request for, oh, I don't know how to use GitHub in this way, so we provide a training for that. Or maybe that, okay, I understood the theoretical part of this modeling, but I don't know how to apply this in this scenario, and a hands-on workshop would be good, so we arrange that. So I have seen that with beginners who have been open to learning and who ask for things, it is very easy to cater to them and to make sure that they have everything they need to grow in the community. But there are also some people who are introverted, so I try to launch as much as possible, like by messaging or
Yeah,
nudging a little, that yeah, your ideas in the first round or data preparation were great, I think you can do this as well. So I try to do that. But yeah, depending on how available that person is, it may or may not work. But it is always something I try to do, because at least for the first few projects, because we did not have, we were not working in collaboration with an NGO, our main focus was to help beginners become more confident in data science. Because it's also easy, I think, to get lost in this world of data science. There are new things coming each day, and it's easy to feel that, oh, I don't know this, maybe I should not take part, and things like that.
yeah,
It's easy to get overwhelmed. But it's also important to say that, okay, I don't know this, but I'm open to learning. And I think that opens up a lot of new avenues. And that is what I would like to tell all the beginners out there, that if you're open to learning and asking for things you need, we are here to help you.
yeah. And how do you approach the language barrier? Because many times new leagues are afraid that maybe their country has a problem with English, or English is not the first language. So how does that work, especially in France, when people much more prefer to use French language?
Yeah, that is true. So what we usually have is, like, right in the kickoff, I make it clear that we are not going to, judge you based on your grammar, or things like
Okay.
that. So English is the common language we use, because just because we have people from all over the world contributing, and we do have, like, majority of English speakers. Like, we have a lot of um, expats who work in France, and they work in English, generally in the tech field. So yeah, so we haven't run a project in French yet, but yeah, right from the kickoff, it is clear that language is not a barrier. If you are comfortable in French, many of us are intermediate levels or native French speakers, so that can also work. And if someone is not comfortable in English, because they fear making grammatical errors, so we say that that is completely fine. We understand that. So that is something that I try to lay out very clearly right from the kickoff, that it doesn't matter. We are just, everyone is here to learn, and we learn different things from different people. So it is fine. And today's world is such that I think the whole tech environment is very international. So in general, everyone is like very open to adapting and helping each other. Like I remember in the last project that we ran, for we had like one particular data set in French, and the French collaborators were so helpful, like the native speakers. They translated all of that into English so that everyone else can use. So I think, everyone is very helpful when it comes to making sure everyone is comfortable. So that works really fine. Like I have never had a scenario where someone says that I cannot work anymore or contribute anymore because I can't speak English, because I say it openly that it doesn't matter if you're making mistakes in speaking English, or if you are not comfortable. We are here to contribute and make things comfortable for you. So it usually works well.
Yeah, that's great. I think that can motivate a lot of people that are there and maybe they're studying English, but they're really afraid to do something about it. And I think Omdena is a great place because, especially in local chapters, it's just like safe space to practice, but not only coding or AI, but also English. So
Yeah.
it can be a lot of fun. And are there any other aspects you try to maybe tackle or introduce as a France chapter, like more cultural background topics or things like that? Like how France chapter is defined with its French mood.
Um, in general, yes, we try to keep the topics relevant to France and to what we find relevant in our day-to-day life. So, for example, first one was related to COVID, the second one was related to flu, and the third was related to waste management in France. So, yes, we try to integrate, the relevant aspects of culture very much in the topics that we have.
So it's like you mostly take the inspiration from like news or present problems that you just see in background of friends, right?
Yes. Because I think France is a country where these day-to-day issues are very, I think, passionately followed and discussed and debated. So we try to choose topics that excite people in the same way. So we take things that matter in a day-to-day life, like for example the waste management thing. Every department in France has a different way of dealing with the waste, and how do they do it, how difficult it is. And so that was also something that like one of the collaborators also discussed with the municipal waste disposal facility of their area. So that was like very interesting in that way, that they can take the work they did here and talk to people outside of Omdena about these things, and it is relevant. So I think that is like a great way to do projects here.
Yeah, I think it's also a great aspect that you have a lot of people and a lot of perspectives. So you're not only concentrated about one bias, but a lot of people from different parts of the world can say, I also have this problem, but here it's solved like that. So maybe we can approach it this way. And it, I think, makes these projects fast and more effective, different kind of energy than just trying something alone once and in one mode of doing it. And
Yes, I
the
think
idea,
that's a great
yeah,
point. Yeah, sorry. I was just saying that's a great point because when we were doing that waste management project, we had people from India as well. And yeah, we just had this conversation that, France is already doing a lot. And still, French people realize there is scope to do more. But in India, we still have to come, to this level that France is already doing, which is also a great way to sensitize people on what needs to be done in their surrounding. So I think that was also a great takeaway from the project.
yeah. So because for a lot of leads, finding a problem statement, it's one of the hardest things to do. What was for you one of the biggest obstacles that you overcame?
For me, the biggest obstacle was actually managing the expectation of time that people will put into the project, and also how much can be achieved in that much time. Because like when there is a topic that people are drawn to, people feel passionately about, we feel that we'll achieve this and that is usually like too time consuming and not really possible within the 4 weeks that we want to go. So I think, yeah, that was an obstacle in the first two projects, I would say, where we first hear the problem statement and we want to do all these things, but it just took too much time. So the way I think I overcame that problem was to lay it down more clearly in terms of time, that we have this 1 week, so we'll do this, which is like the basic, but there is always scope for people to go beyond and do more than is asked. But this would be like the first minimum deliverable that we are setting for this week, and similarly for the second week and third week and fourth week. So I think this managing the expectation and time of what needs to be done, this was a big obstacle in the first two projects, I would say.
Yeah, and now I think you're really great at it because that's important in trying, that maybe at first something is really hard for you and maybe you even fail, but in the end, if you fail and you learn, you can even specialize in like maybe timeline for the project or things like that. It's, I think, very valuable. And still
Yes,
connected
yes.
to the projects that you did, what do you think of impact? Because as we all maybe know, at the moment, the local chapters projects are not really yet deployed or implemented in the world, but there's still impact, right?
Yes, yes, that's right. So, as I was mentioning, we did not have a collaboration with the partnership with any NGO so far. We are aiming for it, hopefully next time. But with these first projects, what we really wanted to do was build this community, and also to make sure this community is learning and growing together. So the impact was mainly focused on the collaborators that we had, and also in a second, in another way, we can say that it's also helped to sensitize people to the causes that we worked on. So for example, like someone is a new expat in France and joined the project and did not realize, okay, flu is a big deal over here. Every year we have like flu vaccines, and it is a big talk on for whom it should be free and whom it should be available, because there's always a shortage as well. So it also sensitizes people about what really matters in France at this time, and what is going on in this part of the world. And yeah, so if I had to summarize, I would say the impact would be twofold. Firstly, to help the collaborators feel comfortable, safe in this community and grow. And secondly, to be sensitized to the different causes that they can have an impact on and work towards.
Yeah, I think it's a really great approach. And actually, you can have a really great perspective. Knowing that you did already 3 projects, you also see probably some people who maybe started with you and now you see their growth journey. Uh, and that's a great impact, right? You have a lot of distance and perspective, like how they started with you, and maybe now they're having a new job or sharing their stories. I think that can be a really great feeling.
Yes, that is very satisfying. Like, it happens all the time that people are messaging me about a new job they got, or there are even like 2, 3 new chapter leads that came out from people who were working in some project that I was part of, and that is also a great feeling to see people progress at Omdena in their careers, and feel more confident about working in this industry. That is really great. Yeah.
That's so great. So now I guess everyone wants to know, if you did so well, how did you do it? So maybe what are 3 most important characteristics of a good lead, so that they can also have that stories of people that they help.
Okay. Okay. So, firstly, I would say project management. That's very crucial, because yeah, you'll be managing this whole project, so it needs to be broken down into steps. There need to be follow up, and there need to be some kind of redundancy. That is, if this person is not able to deliver or present this particular day, there is someone who can take over. So all these relationships and roles and expectations of deliverables need to be set out like very clearly. So I would say that project management is very essential. Then next, I would say that since it is always AI products, then it is very essential to have technical knowledge about this field. So even if I'm not an expert in computer vision, but still need to have like basics of how it works, what are the different steps, what would be the timeline of achieving, this and that, and if it is realistic to expect this in 1 week, and so on. So some kind of technical knowledge is necessary. And thirdly, I would say adaptability. It's very crucial, because things can change like very frequently. Someone who led one whole project can be suddenly like unavailable in the next one after committing, or there can be unexpected changes of people coming in the middle of the project, going, and so on. So there's a lot of fluctuations, and also related to people's work, personal issues, and so on. And it is very important to stay on top of that, in the sense that if you know that this was needed by week 1, that this needed to be done by week 1, and you have an idea of something going wrong, and so it's important to like know that and assign it to the right person who can get it done by then, or change the timelines, adapt in a way that is that is like helpful to everyone involved, because yeah, everyone is putting in their time and energy and minds to this. So it's very important to make sure that it is all the resources, all the people, and everything is being used in the most effective way possible. So yeah, I would say these three things would be yeah, very helpful in becoming a good lead.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really connected, I think, to the phrase once I heard about project manager, that it's kind of like playing jazz. So you really need to be in the flow and always be ready that something is changing, but there's also lots of fun in it. And then like feeling of being proud that you kind of created and you did this flow and something came out of it. So thank you so much. And now I think the last conclusion question would be like, if you imagine Rebecca that's starting her first local chapter challenge, what would you like to tell her? Like anything.
Yeah. So I would like to say that don't try to do everything on your own because yeah, I'm that person. I want to help with this and that, but it is important to realize that everyone at Omdena is open to helping, so work can be shared, and that way it is more collaborative and we can have like a bigger impact. So this was something I realized while doing the projects. But yeah, I wish I had known earlier, but I learned it through some failures. But nevertheless, I would say, like, don't try to do everything on your own, and delegate, share, and collaborate, and that is the better way to grow.
Thank you so much. I think the Rebecca will appreciate it. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I'm really looking forward for your next project. Um, Again, that was Rebecca Alexander, the lead of French chapter. I'm Veronica, and we are really inviting you to try your own journey as a local chapter lead in Omdena. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.